What's the deal, family? Welcome back to another SOS podcast. I am Cameron, and this is my beautiful wife, Erin. What's going on, babe?
Oh, just still pregnant. That's about it, you know. So here we
It's
are.
all good. It's all good. We know our baby is getting all the nutrients she
She's
needs.
coming.
She'll come when she's ready, I guess.
Yeah, she will. So
She only has one way out, so
I know.
you know.
But otherwise, I'm feeling good. So I'm thankful for that.
That's what's up.
How are you?
I'm chilling, I've been having fun, it's Dream Cruise week.
Okay, so you have to explain what the Dream Cruise is.
So the Dream Cruise is, we're from Detroit, and it's the Motor City. The name should explain itself. But anyway, every year, close to the end of the summer, we have something called the Dream Cruise. People from all over come. They bring their old schools, their new schools, whatever you want to call it, cars, classics, whatever you're into, like tuners, the whole nine. Of course, this year I get to participate for the first time as a non-spectator.
Yeah.
With my Corvette, my C8 Corvette. So
Well, you can drive down the street in whatever car you want.
don't get me wrong. You can drive what you want, but
Yeah. But like you want people looking at your car.
yeah, you want the feeling. This is the first time, and I have an Audi as my everyday car. No one has ever been like, let me hear it.
Right.
I ain't got that ever in the Audi. It's all good though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe you had like a RS8 or something.
Or RS3. I just have an A3. So
yeah.
even if I had the RS3, that's got some stuff to it.
Right.
But no, like this is when I say this first time as a non-spectator, as in I bought a collector's item car. So it doesn't have to be anything special, such as a Ferrari, as things we define as special. Quiet as kept, there's some Volkswagens out here, some Volvos that are collector's items that you probably just don't know about. But you see some of everything, some of the coolest. I've seen an upside down car, like it's literally on the roof is on the wheels.
And people come from everywhere to participate and to just see. It's tents all out on the main street in Detroit.
Bleachers.
It's called Woodward.
Yeah.
And so they have like vendors and cars and it's just like groups of people who have the same car meet up and do it. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The car scene here is so big.
It's real big.
I'm happy you get to participate to some
go
extent.
to the car meetups. I've been going to a few this summer. But during the whole week, like the whole week is like the cruise, but the main day is only one day.
Yeah.
But it's like people out here, they usually come like sometimes a week or two in advance and they're just here. They're
and they
waiting.
Just sit out.
They claim their spots, like, the whole nine. Like it's just this big thing.
It's a good energy.
It is the only time that we love traffic.
Yeah.
It is the only time that we can sit still in the middle of a road with a smile on our face.
Yeah.
And be happy.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah,
I
it's a good
enjoy
time.
riding with him and just, looking at all the cars.
Yeah.
It's fun. So
I think you enjoy me
we've been
doing it more though.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay out all day.
I mean, I don't.
You enjoy it.
I
You don't
enjoy
mind
it, but
yeah.
like you're obsessed with
Yeah.
like cars.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, this is
whatever.
fun. Okay, so cheers. What are we sipping on?
Cheers. You have mint tea and I have a strawberry peach smoothie.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay really hydrated right now. So, and I've been seeing all the old wives' tales of like things to do to induce labor. So we've been trying them, like bouncing on the ball and doing all kinds of like, I don't know. I got some dates. I got to make those. I saw okra water. It's just like all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to follow our on-demand fan page, that's where we're like kind of posting more of our little pregnancy and family updates and stuff. So
there you have it.
But anyway, okay, so what are we talking about? Wait, this or that.
Oh, dang, we almost forgot. Well,
Okay.
I forgot for sure.
This or that. Would you wait, I screenshot it. Hold on.
Uh-oh. You got a screenshot. You found this on what?
I found it on something. I don't even remember.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, here we
crazy.
go. You can only have one free for life. Gas, clothes, or food.
Food. Wait. What do I spend more money on? All three cars. Food and groceries are about the same in bills every week. So.
Food and groceries?
I mean, food and gas.
Oh, I'm like-
sorry.
I
Does
think we
food
spend way more on
wait? Does
food.
food include like groceries or like groceries and eating out and?
It just says food. I'm going food.
I'm going food then, because if it's just food, I'm assuming that means eating out, your groceries, like
But
all of
also
that.
food is just like a very, very, very
You need the
necessity.
food, yeah.
Like clothes is just no. You can thrift, you can pick like
You can
shop
capsule
on
wardrobe,
on
like
clearance. Yeah, you can there's so many ways around that. So I definitely would not pick clothes. And gas is kind of like we don't really. I could see if maybe I was like a truck driver or something, or
Yeah.
like somebody who just used a whole bunch of gas.
We also
but
don't
like,
need 3 cars. We can.
Yeah,
We
we
can
could
actually
honestly
get
survive
away with
off of one car.
Yeah. So.
Well, I wouldn't want that, but we could survive in theory.
Yeah. So yeah, food. I'm going food.
Okay, well, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
That was an easy one. But.
Yeah. It made me think for a second though, but yeah, food.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Today we got a little bit more questions. Actually, I had a conversation with a friend, and he made me go back and think about the time. He was asking some very good, solid questions that made me go back in time to when me and Aaron, I guess, were stamped, officially locked in. All those things. So the question that we're kicking us off with is it always necessary to be friends first before you get serious?
Always necessary? No. I don't think it is. Does it help a lot? Yes. I think having the foundation of friendship is unbeatable because you always have something to fall back on when things may not be going how you want them to romantically.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes when I know people who have dated for a year and gotten married within that year, like they have very intentional relationships from the jump. Both people know they want to get married. They're dating with intention, like, and that friendship component can kind of get lost in that because you're so focused on the end goal that the friendship kind of just comes with all of the other things. Like, it's not like we're building this friendship first and then we're going to see based on how we built this friendship if things can develop more.
Right.
It's just like, no, we're developing everything at the same time type thing. Which I don't see there being a problem with either one. But I think for us, the reason why we work and I feel like the reason why our relationship is the way it is because of our friendship foundation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I feel like you can kind of tell like those relationships who are like, you can kind of just see it. Like when you're just like really friends and vibing and like you kind of have that like synergy with the other person. I feel like that's felt, you know? But I don't think it's 100% necessary. What do you think?
I will say the same. I say the same in the regard of I understand that everybody is not going to have the same story.
Right.
Everybody's not going to meet when they're teenagers. Like, that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't want to say average person. Like, I looked up and researched the average person, finding their person or dating or whatever. But, like, if we were to go off based on where we are now in our lives, like being real adults, I couldn't imagine that we would just be like, oh, yeah, you seem dope. Like, let's just kick it. And, you know, we probably would meet each other and like, oh, nah, this what I'm on right now.
Yeah.
You saying this what you on? We about to date. It's about to be kind of serious from the jump. Unless we just end up not, like, sinking or whatever. But, like, so I understand it from that aspect. But there's still, I feel like even still, if I knew, even what I knew back then that we talked about a long time ago, I still would try to needle that in there. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously this is the intention, but, like, let's learn each other on a fun level.
But how do you, like, what is the differentiator then?
I think what could help that is
because wait, let me just paint a picture.
Yeah.
What is the differentiator? Because somebody could be listening and being like, well, I think we're friends. Like, I've been dating this person. We hit it off right away. Right. Like, I like being around him or her. But what is that thing that where you know, like, no, we really have like a friendship outside of
The relationship. Yeah.
How do you distinguish that? Because I mean, I can imagine at some point it all kind of gets morphed together.
Yeah.
And I think you made a great point, obviously, of us being very young. So it's like we weren't gonna get married at 17 years
Right.
old. But it also is kind of like, well, we had the time we really had time on our side
Right.
to explore a friendship
Yeah.
first. So how do you differentiate, like, when you are someone who's like, okay, I'm 29, I'm 30, I'm ready to settle down. I found someone I really like, but I do want to build a friendship with them too.
Right.
Like, how do you know you have that?
That's a good question. I do like that you said we had time on our side, but the truth is we all have time on our side. I
Yeah.
think we decide as people not to choose time. We choose our feelings or what we think, or we choose what we think we're supposed to be versus using the time that we have. Like, I think if I was to choose something to say that was different from those who build a friendship and those who don't, is the ones who I guess go into it knowing that, hey, I want to learn you, and I'm not trying to learn you on the relationship level. I'm just trying to learn you as a person, who you are, what do you like to do outside of a relationship. I think that's what can make the difference in the world, really, in your relationship. It's like, yeah, I have this intention, but let's try to be open, because a lot of times, like, we may have this intention, but it's kind of common for people to get in these relationships and they're not actually open. So there's not a real way to even build just a regular foundation if you can't even be open up front at this big age.
What do you
as
mean?
They say.
What do you mean by open?
Open as in, I think I'll put it this way: when we decided that we were just going to be truthful. And it doesn't mean we were lying. We just weren't being completely upfront. I think that made all the sense in the world. I felt like that lifted a weight off of both of our shoulders, to be honest. So I guess the best way I can put that is, say you're both 32 or 30. You're in your 30s, just say in your 30s, and hey, Cam, my intention is I'm ready to get married. I'm trying to see. I'm not playing here to play no games. I ain't about none of that. At the same time, I am here to play games. I'm here to play the game. And along with the game that I want to play is to learn you as much as I'm learning you from on a relationship level, but from what are your friends like? Who do you hang around?
Right.
Why would I be your friend? Like, trying to figure out those things, I guess.
Yeah, just your overall
like
life
what's your overall
outlook
vibe,
and, like,
around you outside of me, even though I want this to be me and you. What do you look like outside of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing too. It's kind of like I asked you a long time, or not even asked you. It's like, man, sometimes, I get it. Girls think they got all the answers. It's like sometimes your friends aren't leading you in the right places, and that does hurt a lot of relationships. And you can be at this big age that they call it or whatever, and that's still hurting your relationship. It doesn't matter how old you are. So that's why I said I like that you use the word time. Is because we always are going to have the time. You don't have to rush any of these things. Yeah. Just make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, having a friendship is also just like having some sort of boundaries and making sure that, like, I think one clear cut thing is, like, it's very hard to build a friendship when there's just sex and all of these other things involved. Yeah. And, like, especially for women, when you get your feelings so deep into it, and, like, I have friends who they fall so fast, so hard, and they're just like, as soon as they meet a guy who seems like he's remotely qualified, it's like, oh, this is like, I hope this works out. Like, I hope this could be my husband, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I think there is a fine line of, like, visualizing your life and what you want that to be versus, like, jumping the gun and giving people more credit than they need at the time
or deserve at the time.
And it's like, just build the friendship, like, just hang out, like, get to know each other, like, go out in public, meet in public, like, set those boundaries, because I think that is a great way to just like not necessarily play the game, but just
you're
to
gonna
get
meet
to
your
know
boy.
each other.
You're not going to your boy crib all the time. Y'all probably linking up to go to an open run. Y'all might be golfing. Y'all might be
Right.
doing whatever. You're not always at someone's house.
Yeah,
Give the same energy to that person you're talking to.
exactly.
But I think I also like that you brought that up. I guess, like setting the boundaries. I guess how I also look at that as, or it kind of reminds me that we were all kind of raised in a way to, especially girls, to where can you even say girls? I feel like there's so many words you can't say. Like, can you say girls that like not offensive? I know females is offensive, so I've been trying not to
I
be
think
offensive.
raising girls is
Okay.
fine.
I'm just making sure. For the cat roam viewer who watches, like you can't say girls or something like that. But I think a lot of women are raised, at least in our community, where like the goal is to get married and to have some kids, right?
Yeah.
And I think that has, in a way, damaged a lot of us where we are giving the guy more credit than he needs at the time because like we're going in with the intention or the thought like, oh, this is the one. Everyone can't be the one.
Right.
Because you want that so bad. I think when you let go of, which is hopefully the end result, when you're not having that at the forefront, like let that come.
Yeah.
But don't let that be like, oh yeah, this is my husband. It's not. You don't know that yet. Like, you know what I mean? So I think letting go of what I guess has been pushed on us so much growing up and like just letting yourself vibe out with whomever, like let that show you, let the vibe show you that that's your husband or that's your wife or whatever the case may be. Don't go in just because, oh yeah, at some point I'm supposed to be married. Like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Sure. But you got to get to that point.
For
like
sure.
I get that's your end result and that's something that you desire, but you still got to get there.
Yeah.
So if you're giving someone spouse credit and they ain't spouse ready, then you probably not gonna make it. Or if y'all do make it, it's like y'all confused or you get there and it's like a false reality. You're like, oh shoot, I didn't learn these things when I probably could have or should have. I was blinded, but now we locked in and like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's the advantage of at least having some level of a friendship
to lean back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all about your self-awareness and also holding yourself accountable for your mindset. And if your mindset is, I'm going into this and my goal is marriage, that's fine, but it can't be the goal at every stage.
Yeah.
I think you have to set a different goal
Yeah.
at the beginning, the dating, the middle, and then let's start talking about it. Let's start talking about the seriousness. So
I agree. That's a good way to put it.
yeah. So when did you know that I was the one?
When did I know? I don't know if I had like this aha moment. I think I always had a feeling, even when we were younger. I was like, okay, there's something special about him.
For sure.
Talking about something for sure. Shut up. I knew that there was something special about Cameron. However, or about you. I'm talking to you. But I can't say that I knew you were the one, like, before we started dating. Once we started dating, I feel like I was like, okay, he could be the one. But then things started getting rocky. And I was like, all right, maybe he's not the one. And then we had a very, like, pivotal conversation, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But, and then at that point, I'm like, okay, I think he might be the one. And then I feel like that I needed, though, even though we had that great conversation, I needed you to prove that the things that you were saying were to be true. I wasn't like, even though I had a feeling, I wasn't like basing my own, I wasn't psyching myself out to like, I wasn't staying
Convincing
along
yourself.
just because I think that you were my husband, you know? I was staying along because we had a foundation of friendship and I knew who you were and I knew that you were going through a lot and that wasn't necessarily who you are. So I was willing to ride that out with you because of the friendship that we built, not because I was pressed to be married to you.
Right.
So like, I think that was the difference. But I think I kind of gradually like built up to the moment of like, okay, like I can see this working long term.
Yeah.
What about you?
I knew after that long 3 or 4 months of you being the only person who was so aware of what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew that. I guess I basically was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew. Like,
Yeah.
there were signs for sure. There were times I'm like, oh, these people just, what you just assumed that I'm just acting like this now or whatever. But I think I wouldn't say like I knew, but I gained a different level of respect that, with the long story short, got to the point where I'm like, yeah, she's definitely the one. But I guess
For sure.
throwing it back at me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're pregnant, right? Nah. Yeah, I think that tough time in life, you held it down so hard, even though you kind of cracked at the end when it wasn't even happening no more. It wasn't even happening no more. But like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
Like you held it down, but it was a lot to bear without the wife duty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shoot, not even fiance duty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at that. Honestly, I wouldn't even treat you like a girlfriend. So
yeah,
like,
you weren't. We were official, but it was just.
Yeah, like.
It was a mess.
Yeah. Cats out the bag.
God.
No, but I think with that year or those months or whatever, which kind of panned out to a year by the time we had that conversation almost.
Yeah.
When I got there and we had that conversation that was so good, and we woke up the next morning like nothing ever happened. Not only did that prove that a friendship is a foundation that you need, but also just kind of showed me, I was like, nah, she got to be the one. If we can get through this,
Yeah.
we ought to be able to get through whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what that year span kind of was like. Yeah, she the one.
Yeah, I think it really tested our relationship, and it was kind of like, for me too, I'm like,
oh wait, by the way, my mom had cancer, and I had an uncle who passed.
It was
I almost didn't make it out of college off of one semester.
Yeah.
Like, it was like so many things that kind of was
knocking
knocking me in the head.
Yeah.
And it came to a point where I just couldn't bear it.
Yeah. And I got the brunt of it because I was the closest to him. And like, you know how when you're close with someone and you just kind of get, you take the beatings. Yeah.
Literally. Not
no.
But like, she was getting, for whatever open I was being, it was to her. Like,
yeah.
To say the least. Like,
yeah.
And she probably still wasn't even getting all that she could, but she knew me well enough to put all the pieces together and to just simply have my back.
And I think that it's really hard for women to know, well, is he like, how do I know if I should stick around or if I should let it go? And that is kind of the golden question of like, I wouldn't say that our relationship was ever toxic or anything like that. I think it was just simply, I knew the type of person you were, and then you went through a really hard season, and I just kind of stuck with you through that, versus you showing me like this side of you that was like
unseen before ever.
Yeah, just like toxic. I don't know how to explain it.
I don't even think I was toxic. I think
you weren't toxic.
I think
no. I'm saying you weren't that.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think there were things you were doing that were out of character.
Yeah.
But like, I knew that eventually, based off of what I knew of you, you would swing back around.
Right.
And if you didn't, then things would have been over.
Right.
But I knew that things would pass, and I think that is the difference between sticking around and letting something go that is just not good for you.
Right.
Like, no, you have to know the person, you know? And also just like, I always go back to like your family. Like, I just knew you came from good people, and I'm like, there's no way that like your family is like this and you just fall off the deep end.
Right.
You know? Well, I mean, it can happen, but like,
it can.
But I'm just saying, like, I I think that that's the difference. Like, you have to be able to see like the person in so many different ways to where you can like make a good judgment call,
For sure.
So I would say, if you're in a relationship and you've been riding it out for years, or this person has shown you that no, this is who you are, not this is you going through a rough time or a rough patch. Like, to me, that's when you gotta let it go.
Yeah, for sure. Not say, oh, well, we've been together for so long, so we should be married, or we've been together for so long, so I'm gonna marry the girl, but really shouldn't.
Or I don't want to start over, or you know what I mean, like all of those.
Yeah, you
things.
never know. Your start over may be way better than what you just had. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I guess what would you think? What would you call the biggest turning point in our relationship?
Definitely the talk we had in DC. We always say this. Yeah. Like, that was like the turning point, because at that point we put everything out on the table, and I think I personally think we needed to go through that season of rough
to get to that point.
Yeah. Because that really caused us to be more open, and when you can't be open with who you're with, it's not gonna work. Yeah. It just can't. And I don't think we'd ever been open to the level that we were that day.
Nah.
And we were up to like 3 a.m. like talking. Man, I was crying.
Story. Let's get to the conversation first. I just want to paint the story how the conversation even happened. So we had this long year. We have this very long year.
And then Cameron, Aaron
swings
back around and things are looking up for him. So he just kind of...
Well, I wouldn't even say looking up. I just caught myself.
Yeah.
I eventually caught myself because of basically some people that I was around didn't have my back like you did, but you also were in DC. And I was like, I would tell you, I think it might have been from a conversation that we may have had, and maybe something triggered from one of those or whatever. But I definitely was like, something that stuck with me was that someone was like, man, I ain't never seen Cam act like this. That's what, and I brought that up to you, and then it really flipped the switch for me. I'm like, why is someone saying that? But they're not like doing anything about it. No one's asking how am I doing, like none of those things. But it took for myself to hold my own self accountable and be aware enough to kind of get it together. So I wouldn't say I was looking up, but I was kind of getting back to who I was. But that wasn't enough for you in a way. Like my thanks and my bad wasn't good enough.
It was absolutely not.
It was not good enough. It was kind of like, my bad, I'm sorry, and all right, so let's move forward.
Let's get back to being us.
But man, it was Christmas time, and jokingly, she was coming home, but I gave her a jokingly text, and she didn't take that well at all.
It just caused a big fire.
It was not a tornado or a hurricane.
Hurricane Aaron.
Hurricane Aaron. Boy, I tell you, I'm talking about she hitting me with jabs, gut punches.
I did not hold
shots.
anything back.
I'm like, dang, where all this come from? But the long story short, the big thing was, you haven't taken initiative, ... And I'm like, dang.
That needs to be a whole episode of like, but just like initiative in a relationship.
We could talk about initiative for sure. Yeah. But she hit me with that, and ironically enough, I was practicing it. I was trying to make it better, but it wasn't quick enough.
Yeah. Because I lived in DC at the time, so I was like, I feel like you don't take initiative with saying you want to come, or like he would come often, but it was always felt like I was the one suggesting like, you should come this weekend or that weekend or whatever.
I was there every month, other than like during this time, she was home because it was the holidays. So it probably hit her a little different because I missed a month. That's really what happened, I think. Like I missed.
I would come.
You was home for Thanksgiving
multiple
and then
times for the holidays.
Once, so I was like, it's no point in me coming home because you're gonna be here every 3 weeks, basically. And at the time, that made sense. To me. But anyway, we get past that. But she's like off me for all of the new year. Like,
well, mind you, because all of this had been happening for a year at this point of him going through all of these things. And like at the time, Cameron, he was not himself. And so it was still fresh. Like it was not the fact that you hadn't come in a month. It was the fact that like things were still fresh and we hadn't spent a lot of quality time together.
We honestly probably had not talked about it enough.
Yeah,
the aftermath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like all of these things bottled up, even though to you over that year, I was like holding it down and being strong and all of this. It was still like these emotions were like,
but my lack of judgment was not being mature enough to be able to pay attention to that just as much you were paying attention to me during that time. Like I should have been able to reciprocate the same energy just in a different way to kind of make up for what was honestly what you deserve, like your reward essentially. There is a reward system in a way. Which you never received an award for that, or you didn't get rewarded for, you know, the time that you had my back, basically. So I get it now. I was looking back. At that time, we're like there's no
10
way
years out from that.
But
well, not 10,
not
but
10,
like 7, 8
years.
Oh my gosh, that was
almost 10, I guess. Yeah, but you know, it's kind of just.
So that was like So we had that conversation it was like 3 a.m. and we were talking till like 3 a.m. We just put everything on the table and I was just, oh my God, sobbing. And like, it was just, we needed that though, to like clear the air, get everything out, like no stone unturned.
But it was good because it wasn't just that we had this conversation. I think this was the first time that, even though Aaron was the one that was mad, this was the first time that I was able to, I guess, communicate what she needed to be better at.
Yeah. Also, this was one of the first times you initiated a conversation like that.
Yeah, but you put me in the position to have to.
Well, I had to. I felt like that was one thing I needed of Cameron before I ever would have married him, was for him, and that's still something he needs to work on. But he's gotten a lot better, which I'm fine with that. But like,
we don't really
have a lot of.
I don't got a lot of practice
of riffs or anything.
Yeah, I don't want no practice. Honestly, if we could go through and it'd be good. Hey.
Yeah, we barely ever argue. But like when I was like, I cannot marry somebody who can't come to me with feedback or have like initiate a conversation that's uncomfortable. And so I made him so uncomfortable to the fact that to the point where he didn't have a choice but to bring up something. You
basically it's either I brought it up or we were probably gonna be over.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's kind of the power that you as a woman have though. Like you have to tap into, as much as you want to like jump in and just start. It's like sometimes you have to let the guy prove that he's willing to do the thing that you're looking for him to do. And like, for me, it was very difficult for me to like be so strong-willed and like,
I mean, boy,
not like crack, but I was like, I cannot crack or else I'm not going to get what I need out of this, you know? So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of how things turned, because I created the environment for you to then initiate. And then once you initiated, everything just like came out.
It was a new level of being a leader.
Yeah.
And the good thing about being a leader is that we do believe in the man leading, but there's an understanding of what someone's skill is in the relationship and understanding how to utilize those skills in your relationship. There is no one way to lead, at least in our household. Obviously, being the head of the household does not mean I make every call. Sometimes she does have to put me in a position or create a position for me to be able to see it, and then I take it and run with it, basically. And I feel like that was the first real example that we had of that.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all right, you know. But also, the best thing to me from that conversation was not that we had the conversation. It was more so you proved to me, and not that I didn't know or wasn't aware, but you know, you hear so many different conversations, or you hear so many different opinions that people have on their women, where like she don't even hear me. Like we can have a conversation, but it doesn't matter because she already has she already has her mind made up for whatever it is we're about to talk about. That was the first time that all that went out the window. I'm like, man, my girl not even like that. I don't even know why I haven't been talking.
Yeah.
You know, you also kind of like, you took it and you was like, oh yeah, I didn't know. I get what you're saying. You were able to, in that moment, look back at yourself like, I get it. You know what? You're right. You know, that was I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting for you to ever say you were right. None of those things. I was expecting for you to be like, no, like you still blah, 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 like, you know what you hear.
Right.
And that was the biggest at that point.
I think at that point too, it was like you never really gave me that chance. To like
I didn't know how to give you the chance yet.
Yeah.
But the space was created for us to both give each other a chance.
Yeah.
And after that, it was game on.
And then literally like we bounced back the next day.
The next morning, it was like we never even had the conversation.
Yeah, it was like we were just like vibing. Everything was great.
We went for a run.
We went to Orange Theory.
Went to brunch.
That was the hardest workout ever. My eyes were still burning from crying the night before.
And I was getting it in. I'm up hype. I'm beating everybody in the gym.
We just had
crazy.
So much fun that weekend. And I think that was like, after that whole year.
And we started our first business.
Yeah, we started Black and Gold. And then that whole year, it felt like we were engaged. Like, it felt like our relationship really was like
what we thought
real
it was
relationship. Yeah. And then the following year we got engaged. Yeah. So it all worked.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
And it worked out because of the decisions we decided to make toward one another.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may have to make the decision that doesn't keep the person. But in our case, like it did involve us keeping each other, but it was literally off the strength of our friendship and nothing else, honestly.
Yeah.
But also at the end of that year was when I was like, dang, I'm about to get married. And that whole next year, you know, writing a letter every day, a note every day to simply show her like, this is what our marriage is going to look like forever. And getting to a point of the proposal was just like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Like, you know, 2018 felt real, but then it had to be real.
Yeah.
And that New Year was the first New Year we didn't spend together.
Yeah. But I just feel like, I guess to wrap things is just, I think as a woman, a lot of women they will try to force themselves to feel a certain way in their relationship, and they will try to force their partner to be what they want them to be, based off of how they see their relationship supposed to go in their head. Or simply
see how they see their own lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you can have that, but you can't force somebody into that. Right. And for me, I just knew that I knew you had it in you, but you had still not proven it to me.
Right.
And the year before we got engaged, after we had that conversation and you like really put into action all of the things that we had talked about, that was when I was like, I just felt this like weight lifted off of my shoulder of like, sometimes as a girl, you do feel like I'm carrying this relationship. Like I want this so bad that I'm gonna try to do everything right. And I'm scared to say certain things that I don't want him to leave me, or I don't, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of sing yourself into overdrive, trying to save a relationship. And at that point, you never know like what this person is actually capable of.
Right.
And so I really was happy that we had a whole year before you even really had that light bulb moment of like, okay, I'm going to marry her.
Yeah.
We had like 2 years of our relationship going from the friendship, which kind of being friends and liking each other did kind of blur some lines.
Yeah.
But like, not even gonna lie. But like, but once we did make the commitment, like at the point of that talk, that is when I felt like our relationship really started to become like us, you know? And
but also, while you saying I had that proven, what did I request of you to do that you did, which kind of led you?
Yeah. And then Cameron was like, I need you to focus on you. Like whatever that looks like for you, like do it. Stop. I'm not going anywhere. And I feel like at that point, he gave me the, like, because we had that talk and because things were going well, it made me feel more available to channel my energy into other places, which you encouraged me to do. You were like, stop trying so hard with us. Like, put energy into, not stop trying so hard, but like put your energy into
Like, we
something.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're good. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going anywhere, Aaron. Like, and that is when I started Aaron on Demand. And like, that is when things just kind of like took off. And like, he was just so supportive of that. And to me, like for you, that showed you a different side of me. And it was just like,
which is what I was looking for. You were looking for something and I was looking for something. And then we both received that in the same time.
Yeah. And it's just like, it just kept building on to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think you have to let the person show you who they are and who they are willing to be for you as well. And that's how we got here.
That's that.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's that on that. So this was a long one.
Yeah, but it was good though.
It was good for sure. You are the one, obviously.
Oh,
so
babe.
Anyway. If you rock with me, then you rock with us. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.